I'm not so sure Tucker Carlson is worth $100 million. Do you think he's worth $100 million?
What our offer is. We're willing to make on record. I'll be tweeting this right after I'm done here. And it'll be on Twitter. It'll be on YouTube. It'll be on all over the place. $100 million 5-year offer, equity position in the company, a president position, and a board seat to make decisions on what we want to do with docs, movies, specials, any other shows, and whatever else he wants to talk about. Podcast, show, all of it on OTT. But that is an offer we're making to Tucker. Tucker knows how to get a hold of me, and we feel he's a once-in-a-generation type of a voice, and we would love to have him be here with Valuetainment. We may not be the biggest. Obviously, there's a lot of bigger names out there. But if you want to team up with somebody that's got the vision in place, the cause in place, and it's a true believer on how great of a country America is, that is worth fighting for, and the fight is a real fight because the enemy is real, we feel we're the right fit to partner with somebody like Tucker Carlson.
Wow. $100 million to Tucker Carlson. Do you think Tucker Carlson is worth $100 million? Leave it in the comments. Yes, no, maybe so. What do you think he's worth? Put your number in the comments. I'd like to know what you think his value is. I'm going to share with you what I think his value is and a lot more. I also might share with you what I might do with $100 million. Nobody's ever going to give me $100 million, but I might share with you what I'll do with it. I'd love to know what you would do with it. Again, leave that in the comments. But let's jump into what this deal means. What is the deal? What does the deal mean for Tucker Carlson? Who is Valuetainment? All that and more coming up right now. I'm Joe McClain. I host a live morning radio program called A Catholic Take, a bold synthesis of information and inspiration on the Station of the Cross, Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Eastern. We have guests on conversations from everything from the White House, the Vatican, all points in between. We look at the world through a Catholic perspective. If you like that, make sure to subscribe. But Tucker Carlson getting $100 million deal from Valuetainment. Very fascinating turn of events here, and it all came down on Megyn Kelly's program. Now, what's interesting is Megyn Kelly has a theory about some things on the Tucker Carlson show. There's been a lot of theories. Was he fired over the Dominion voting machine lawsuit with Fox News? Was he fired because he had text messages related to January 6th? I don't know. There's a lot of theories out there. Was he fired because of his Heritage Foundation? I've had those conversations on my A Catholic Take program. You can check out the links to some of those videos for some fuller conversations on those points. But recently there was some leaked footage that came out about Tucker Carlson's behind-the-scenes behavior. And Megyn Kelly talks to us about what she thinks her theory is on where that came from.
Shock of all shocks. Those videos have shown up on where? Wait for it. Can you guess? Media Matters for America.
Wow.
They're not even subtle. Fox is losing its fastball. This is just too obvious, Irina.
Who?
Again, it's my opinion. This is all being leaked by Irina Briganti, who's made it her mission to ruin Tucker Carlson.
This is like the Jerry Springer show. This is like high school right here. It gets me. Tucker is a huge name on broadcast television. No question about it. He commanded a very large audience, the biggest in prime time. No question about it. But let's look at some of the video that came out in relation to this. I think it is very interesting to see.
It's going to be for Fox Nation. But nobody's going to watch it on Fox Nation. Nobody watches Fox Nation because the site sucks. So I'd really like to just dump the whole thing on YouTube.
He's criticizing.
Anyway, that's just my view.
He's criticizing his own platform at Fox News. And then he gets into a sort of a behind-the-scenes creepy conversation
totally cool.
with Piers Morgan, who's going to be on his show.
So I can never assess my appearance. I wait for my postmenopausal fans to weigh in.
He's teasing his fans there. Now, does that make Tucker Carlson the enemy? Therein lies the question. And still, even though this footage has been leaked out, as Megyn says, by Fox News employees, but Media Matters is the ones putting it out. So even though all of this footage is being leaked out, did that stop Patrick Bet-David from Valuetainment from offering a $100 million deal? No, it didn't. They still offered a huge deal, the biggest deal
and we put it out
possible.
There. It's an article. You can see the details. It's crystal clear. To Tucker Carlson, let me start off by reading this. If he can zoom in a little bit more so the audience can also see it. You can find this on Twitter.
$100 million deal
Right to the point.
over 5 years, an equity stake in Valuetainment, president of Valuetainment, and a board seat to project your strategic vision and voice. Your own podcast and other daily, weekly shows, documentaries, and movies covering topics you care about. What else? We're all ears. That is the deal. And in addition to that, when he was on Megyn Kelly's program, he actually asked whether or not they would cover the production costs. And he said yes, that they would include the production costs as well. He's got a studio in his basement. As a matter of fact, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, that's what this studio here is, the Tucker Carlson Today studio. That's in his house. So he wouldn't even have to leave his house. In fact, I was listening to Russell Brand the other day say when he was there being interviewed in that studio, he's behind the scenes, under the desk, barefoot the whole time. He wouldn't have to leave his house. $100 million deal over 5 years, president of Valuetainment, and he gets a seat on the board to make sure that his voice, his vision, his ideas get to progress. Any project he wants to work on, greenlit. How do you not pass that up? Therein lies the question. But then here's the bigger question. Who is Patrick Bet-David? Who is Valuetainment? Now, this is an interesting, maybe you probably know, he's got 4.16 million subscribers here. So you probably know him better than I do. But I have watched Patrick Bet-David's videos over the past several years. Patrick Bet-David is an entrepreneur. He's an immigrant to our country. He was originally born in Iran. His family came over here during the Ayatollah. And he has made a huge, successful life for himself, for his family, and for his employees and coworkers through the insurance business. He's moved around a bit. I want to say he was out in California, moved to Dallas. Now he's down in Miami, Florida. He adopted new media as a technique to, share his entrepreneurial concepts, ideas, and he's blown up. He has a huge following. 4.1 million subscribers on YouTube is huge. It's massive. And he's had huge conferences, teaching people, sharing his hard work ethic on building businesses and growth. And all of that is good. He's definitely not Catholic, and he definitely doesn't see the world through a Catholic lens. And he's built himself a small dynasty here. He has raised quite a bit of wealth as a result to his audience. So he's offered Tucker Carlson $100 million and an equity stake in his company. That's big. But if you're Tucker Carlson, can you take that deal? Even though it's $100 million, if you're Tucker Carlson, why not go to the Blaze? Why not go to the Daily Wire? Why not go to Newsmax, which I think Fox is really scared of that, by the way, that he'd go to Newsmax. All of those are more established, well-known media organizations than even Valuetainment. But I argue Valuetainment is blowing up. Clearly, Redacted wants him. Clayton worked for Fox News, knows Tucker. He's had Tucker on his program. Redacted would love to have him, but nobody's offering him $100 million quite like Valuetainment is. It would be fascinating to see Tucker take a deal like this. I would say, and I would love to know, what do you think? Do you think Tucker's worth $100 million? Leave that below. If not, what do you think he's worth? Put his value down there. I would love to see it. I think $100 million is excessive for Tucker Carlson. I think the real genius behind Tucker Carlson is that he was able to have conversations about certain topics that were, the third rail in this brave new world we live in. For instance, vaccines, January 6th, 9/11, or any of those things. Most of those conversations, you're just not allowed to have, questioning the Ukraine war. You're not allowed to have those conversations on platforms like YouTube. You get censored. Trust me, I know. I've been censored quite a bit. I've been put on timeout. We've had an entire channel deleted. Years of content, poof, gone. See you later. Goodbye. Because we're having conversations we're not allowed to have. He was able to do that on Fox News, and YouTube would not delete those conversations, which meant at least those conversations were being had because Fox News was able to host them. Whereas a lot of these other content creators weren't able to have those conversations without getting punished for it. You could have them on other platforms, but just not YouTube. I think the trick is, if Tucker Carlson can't have those same conversations, I think his value comes down because he's just going to get censored. And will he build the large audience? Joe Rogan did, sure, but Joe Rogan self-censors on Spotify. He's had conversations that nobody else wants to talk about, but then he takes them down because they tell him to. So Joe Rogan is, obviously raking in the cash, but he's self-censoring. So maybe you'll have a big conversation on Rumble or some of these other platforms. But frankly, the audience is on YouTube. As much as we would love to say these alternative platforms offer us a big chance, I can tell you the technology behind YouTube is light years ahead of the technology behind Rumble, because they've had a head start and they had a lot of money behind it. And we have a love-hate relationship with platforms like YouTube. We love the fact that we have algorithms, analytics, opportunities to sort of optimize. And on the other hand, we don't like the fact that they limit our conversation to whatever is approved by the approvers. Like, that's not good. We need to have that opportunity to have the speech, the kind of conversation that adults should be able to have without an overlord or an overseer regulating us. If Tucker can't have that, I'd say his $100 million outlay becomes more difficult for an organization like Valuetainment. They're not Fox News. They're not Newsmax. They're not CNN. They're not MSNBC. You know, they have to be able to bring in, they got to be able to generate that $100 million in order to cover that cost. Now, here's the kicker, though. Patrick Bet-David is clearly a guy who understands how to make money. He's clearly a guy who can hustle hard and make money. So my confidence in Patrick Bet-David's ability to raise that cash, to find a way to overcome that, is pretty high. I mean, the guy's a hustler. He works very hard. But $100 million at his level, I'm not so sure that Tucker will take it. I'm not so sure that he might look at that and go, it's a great deal. It's very tempting, but you're not X, Y, or Z brand, which looks good on paper. I'm not so sure Tucker will take it, but time will tell, and it'll be very fascinating. Megyn Kelly surely thought it was a good deal. I'd love to know what you would do with $100 million, though. What would you do? Put that in the comments below. What would be your deal to take $100 million? What would you do with it? Here's what I would do. Number one, I don't think I would want $100 million to my name, because it would scare the nonsense out of me. The temptation would be so great. I'm not sure I could handle that. But I would love to have access to $100 million without it truly being mine. Does that make sense? I mean, it's like the cake and eat it too thing, right? If I'm being honest. But, you know, at the Station of the Cross, we produce bold Catholic content, and we're going to take it to the next level. That's why we're raising funds right now. We're trying to take it to that next level. But with $100 million, we're already in the process of upgrading our mobile app experience. iCatholic Radio, iCatholic Music, both apps are available free in your app store. We're launching premium content. We're also launching new, bold Catholic content aimed at moving the needle, getting people off the fence. Stop being lukewarm, start to get super red hot, be zealous for the faith, and evangelize this world, because if we're being honest, the world needs evangelization. But some of my pet projects that I want to produce, if I had $100 million, I would totally produce my Hernan Cortez film. Oh man, I have a film and a doc idea there that I want to produce. It has to be the highest possible quality level. Oh, to tell that story of how we defeated the evil satanic worship in the Aztec Empire would be utterly amazing. No more revisionist histories. I want to tell the stories. I wrote a whole premise for a series called He Is Coming that is a live action drama of the preparing for the second coming of Christ. I would produce that. I would just hire the pros. I'd say $100 million. I'm going to go hire the best of the best to produce the best of the best and watch that move the needle. I'd make films about Roy Benavides and Sergeant Thomas Higgins and Ignatius of Antioch. I mean, there's a whole ton of ideas that myself and the team at the Station of the Cross are dreaming up to create the best and gold standard of Catholic content. But honestly, it takes money. And I look at people like Tucker Carlson, $100 million, and he has stake in the company. Let me go back to this deal real quick. He not only gets the 100 mil, he gets to be president. He gets to own part of the company. He gets a seat on the board. He gets to greenlight any project he wants. Anything else he wants to come up with, he gets. They're offering. You know, if I were Tucker, I would take the deal, obviously, because so much opportunity. But I honestly don't know that Tucker's going to take this deal. I think he's probably not going to take this deal. What do you think? Do you think Tucker will take this deal? Leave that below. I'd love to know. Don't forget to tune in to A Catholic Take, 7 a.m. Eastern, all across the Station Cross and beyond on your iCatholic Radio app. We'll see you there. God love you.